Doing? Coming to you live from northern Israel. So happy Sunday. Hope you're all having one. It is March the 9th, which I was reminded by my reminders that tomorrow, being March 10th, will be Mario Day. Mario, right? MAR10. That's what the kids say anyway. Mario Day. And later this week, it'll be Pi Day, of course. If you keep the Gregorian calendar in the standard written style of the Americans, who write 314 on March 14th. Of course, if you are pretty much anywhere else in the world, you write 143 for the 14th of March. And Pi Day makes no sense to you, but hey, what are you going to do? For you, Pi Day will be the 22nd of July, 22/7, which is actually a more precise Pi Day because that's an exact number, right? So, what is happening in the world? Well, in the world of crypto specifically, I wanted to point out a couple of things before I get into the main topic of the video, which is about Pi and the Pi crypto network. And that is the big crypto summit that happened Friday in the White House, at the White House, in the White House, in Washington, D.C. Look, from a point of view of market trading, it was very much what I said it would be, a nothing burger. And I said that before that buzzword was going around about it. It was every bit a nothing burger because of what it was and how it was done. And because of what they did with the executive orders, one to open up a Bitcoin reserve and another to open up basically an altcoin digital assets reserve. By distinguishing the Bitcoin one from the altcoin one, they did a few things. Some good, some bad, you could argue, but it basically established that Bitcoin is perceived as more valuable to the U.S. government, the current U.S. government, in terms of being an asset worth holding, separately and distinctly. But nevertheless, it also established that altcoins and other digital assets, which were maybe unspecified as of yet, are also worth building up a reserve of. Now, what is a reserve? Well, a reserve is like a stockpile, but that you, in theory, kind of keep for emergency use only, right? In other words, you shouldn't actually need to use it ever. In other words, all the assets the U.S. government has stockpiled already until now, mostly through seizures, they are not going to sell. And as I explained to you last year, in fact, many over the years, but especially last year during the crypto summit, the crypto conference, the Bitcoin conference or BitCon or whatever it's called, that was in Tennessee. Yes, that's a blooming flower on a bunch of, those are tall weeds, but they make very pretty yellow flowers every spring. As I explained to you I think it was July, during the Bitcoin conference, where basically the U.S. announced the U.S. Senator Loomis announced her desire to see the U.S. have a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and President Trump, and also former President Trump at the time, announced that if president, he would establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which he has done now, at least by executive order, not by law. And Michael Saylor also suggested that the U.S. should own some insane amount of Bitcoin, like up to 5 million Bitcoin or something. And the U.S. goal right now is 1 million Bitcoin, which is a very high number for a government. And you can say, well, Satoshi has 1 million. Yeah, Satoshi has 1 million. Satoshi's wallets are cold. And we also assume that Satoshi has 1 million because there's 1 million Bitcoins that haven't moved since he disappeared, since we assume he mined them. And so what will this do for Bitcoin? Well, in theory, what this will do for Bitcoin is make Bitcoin even harder for the average person to obtain. Now, you may not care yet, but there may come a time when you will care. There may come a time when you will wonder, why were governments allowed to buy up all the Bitcoin? And I've been saying forever, this stuff should not be in the hands of the big whales who don't need it, and in the government's hands, they don't need it. It was specifically invented to give people an escape hatch out of that system. And there are other coins at the moment that are still in the hands of the people more than they are in the hands of the institutions. But those coins are quickly being transformed into coins that are more and more owned by big whales and institutions. Litecoin, Cardano, for example. At some point, those coins too will be controlled more by institutions and banks and whales. And there needs to be a way to limit the holdings of those organizations. And you can say, well, then it's not a fair currency if only certain people can have it. Hey, right now, only certain people can have Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. Who? Well, the people with money to have it. Well, what if we flipped it on its head and said, you know what? We're only going to let people without money have this coin. And that if it is found that a person obtains any that has money separately from those holdings, well, then those coins are taken back from them, or they are burned and new ones are created in their place and distributed to other people without money, or made available to other people without money. Call it poor coin for all I care. You can't have any if you're rich. And you rich, if you're rich, you might think, well, that's a stupid idea. If you're poor, you might think it's a stupid idea. Who wants a poor coin? Well, who wanted a Bitcoin in January of 2009? There are very few of us that did back then want any of it. Some of us wanted it. Because like Satoshi said, you might want to get a few. You might want to get some in case it catches on. I dare say poor coin, or some concept thereof, would be a very good place and a very good way for people who don't have any assets or who are, effectively poor, to have and hold some value, some kind of digital asset that would let them get an equal footing. And yes, once anybody who happens to have Poorcoin becomes wealthy, their coins would also be revoked. Once their assets are no longer in Poorcoin, whatever Poorcoin they have left would be revoked, burned, whatever, or made available to other people. Well, how can you track that without knowing everybody's finances? Well, there are ways to know people's finances. There are all kinds of legally compliant ways to do this sort of thing. Now, I know it's not a perfect idea. It's full of flaws. I get it. But I do believe that the purpose of decentralized cryptocurrencies, the main purpose, other than to give people a reliable way to store and verify and retrieve information, is to give people effectively an escape hatch from the existing financial system when it comes to the financial aspect of the cryptocurrency. Because, of course, cryptocurrencies are a lot more than just money. And hello to you. I see you. Why should we make a Poorcoin? Well, because there's billions and billions of poor people in the world who will never be able to own any Bitcoin at all. And it is a shame that, but of course it was going to happen, that the wealthy people saw something with, massive potential that was already making people very wealthy, so they wanted it. This is not a surprise. The greedy want more. That's the nature of human greed. But yeah, I would love to see a coin made that, first of all, does the easy thing and blocks any government from holding any of it. And any government found to hold it would be fined a significant amount. How would you do that? Well, you would make any party signing up to it agree to terms. And those terms would include, if you are a government and you are signing up to this, you're in violation of this agreement and you owe the holding wallet of Poorcoin a certain amount of funds or some kind of penalty. And it would be significant. And then you do the same thing for institutionals, like banks, etc. And also whales. And yes, the penalty could scale for size, obviously, because obviously an individual whale is probably not as deeply pocketed as a government in some cases. In some cases, we know they are. But like the U.S. Commerce Secretary, for example, reportedly owns $1 billion worth of MicroStrategy stock, MSTR. $1 billion of that stock. A guy like that doesn't need to have any Poorcoin. He frankly doesn't need to have any Bitcoin, but we know he does. Because who's going to have, 10 digits of MSTR without owning any Bitcoin? That's not a thing, right? So anyway, so about the Pi network, I know I've droned on a lot about the Bitcoin today, but Is the Pi network even a crypto? Well, yes, it is. Absolutely. A crypto. Pi network is, in fact, at least theoretically, a cryptographically signed digital currency. At least it's so they claim. And it lets people generate more Pi into their wallets through mining. And the way that people achieve that is by having a lot of people sign up, refer their friends to it. Kind of like building a little circle of contacts that let you increase the amount of Pi that you can mine. So, like, I remember back, I think it was 2017, maybe even before 2018. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been a long time. Pi's been around for a while. And they've been effectively building up this mainnet release that they finally did in 2025. It was literally last month. Right? They released, or they launched their mainnet. I think it was February 20th of this year. And basically, when they did that, they launched PiNet as a tradable asset. It's got charts on MEXC. It's got charts on BitGet. I forget where else it might have charts, but had a pretty nice beginning. Going up to like $3 or something at the beginning. Now you'll see. Now, if you were one of the people who noticed before the launch, you'll notice that there was a time when the price was like insanely high on like the full chart, and you wonder yourself, why did I not get my Pi when it was worth $100 and something or something crazy? The answer to that is because that is the stage before the launch when they're basically pricing out things and they're putting up basically a test number for the value on the various exchanges that they're launching on. And that's not really a real price. Okay, that's like a synthetic price. So that $100 and something, nobody actually got paid that. But the $3 price that it launched at was, in fact, the $3 price that it launched at. And it actually went back up to almost that price. I think $2.95 was the high about a week ago. And right, so if it's now under $1.60, well, yay for people who can already cash out. But you got to remember, there's also a lockup period. I think the minimum is like 2 weeks or something for people who hold it. Some people can lock it up for a lot longer in order to earn more APY of Pi. Now, is that worth the payoff? Well, it depends on the person, on their context, and whether or not the price actually goes up over time. Or if it just crashes to the ground, then maybe it would be better to cash it out the sooner rather than the later. But if we look at the short term, of Pi. Here, I'll try to show you on my screen here. Look at the short term of Pi. Well, here's some interesting things about it. This is the 1 hour. Now, interestingly, you'll see it's in a trending move to the downside. And it has hit a third band to the downside of both RMLRs. And it still has to revert to one of them. So it did it. Yeah, it does need to revert to the 3012. 3012 is currently at $1.71. And right now, the asset is at $1.53. So that's a nice little move right there that it has to make to complete the mean reversion. So that's PiNet on MEXC. You're wondering why am I looking at that chart? Well, I'm looking at that chart because it's an interesting supposedly crypto asset. Now, some people have said it's not really a crypto asset, and that it's really mostly just an ad network. The truth is that may be the case. And some people have said they don't respect your privacy, they steal your information, they sell it to ad networks, they sell it to ad brokers. Again, that may be the case. But if you're literally earning money, and for most people, this is a valid point. You go onto Facebook, you go onto Instagram, you go onto X, you're not getting paid by them, right? On X. First of all, you have to pay X, $8 a month. Second of all, you have to have a certain number of followers and or subscribers in order to be a content creator. And then you earn possibly some money. Usually a very small amount. Doesn't even people with 1 million or more subscribers are not exactly living off of their posts on X. There might be some people doing that soon, but for the most part, people posting on X, even content creators who get paid, are earning a very small amount. But it's money. And those who can hold it, hold it. Those who need the cash, use the cash. Wonderful. Pi is a network where you literally open an app once a day and click on a button that says mine. And then you can click on another button that says like improve security, basically invite more people to your friends, circles, etc. Now, what I have found anyway is that people that I invited to Pi when I was an early adopter of it, they didn't want to follow. They didn't want to join. At the time, I thought, well, maybe it's because the interface is weird and people don't like the whole concept of crypto because they're either ignorant, naive, fearful, whatever the case might be. And they just don't want anything to do with crypto and this and that. But I found it remarkable that people just did not want to partake in this crypto project called Pi, which at the time was very much marketed as another coin kind of, mined by the people for the people. And it really is just mined by people's mobile phones. And you could say, well, they're not really mining anything. They're just, you hit a button, and every time you hit a button, you get a certain number of Pi, and it's because it happens instantly. There's no actual mining happening on your phone, right? Well, right. But it doesn't matter how they, quote unquote, mine. It's just a process when you say mining, okay? It's just a process. In Bitcoin, the process involves a lot of energy and hash power and, is a verifiably kind of, better network than Pi because Bitcoin is a proof of work network. But does that mean that Pi network isn't valid? No, it doesn't mean that Pi is not valid. In fact, it doesn't mean that at all. I would argue that Pi is actually very valid for the very simple reason that Pi, if nothing else, is a large and growing ad network. I think they have 50 or 60 million users already. That's about as many traders as there are across the world of all kinds of assets. So if in 5 or 6 years they've managed to build a network that has as many users as there are market traders of any type of asset, you can't tell me that's not significant. Well, you could say, well, Bitcoin, Facebook has 1 billion users, right? Or 2 billion users with WhatsApp and Instagram and whatever else they own. And X has hundreds of millions of users. So that's all true. But Pi did this by being basically a stealth operation project. I guess it was out there publicly and anyone could join it for the last 5-6 years, but most people didn't. Most people stayed away from it. They avoided it like the plague for whatever reasons. And yet they still managed to grow to 50 or 60 million people, which is not a small number of people. And that does explain a good chunk of the reason why people that trade it, people that buy it and hold it and sell it, find that it is currently worth about $1.55. It's really not a surprise. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, frankly. Again, it's not a perfect thing. I got you. It's far from perfect. But there aren't that many cryptos that really are perfect. Bitcoin's not perfect. And I love Bitcoin. It's fantastic. It's great. It's wonderful. But it has flaws. Some of which I've discussed in this video. Bitcoin lets whales take control of everything. Just like real money. Right? Fiat money, whatever you want to call it. Fiat money. By the way, fiat money isn't even real money, but it's a matter of perception. And it's what people call money. But Bitcoin's not perfect. It is fantastic, though. It's light years better than fiat. But it's not perfect. In fact, I can't think of a single crypto that is perfect. But I also can't think of a single fiat that's perfect. But I can say that most cryptos that are well built and properly decentralized are in fact a lot better than any fiat. And even some cryptos that are not decentralized, like Solana, in my opinion, are arguably as good or better than fiat. Solana I could take issue with because, I love Solana. It's fantastic. It's fun to trade. And yes, there are a lot of memes on it, but that is not its only value. It is not its only use case. But Solana, in many ways, is like a fiat because it has a centralized issuer. On how many, and so they can print as much as they want. On top of that, well, this isn't going to be a didactic into why Solana isn't so great, but that's enough of an issue right there for people to say, well, it's no better than fiat. It's no different than fiat. You just have a centralized bank issuing however many they want. And that's true. Hard to argue with that. But back to the Pi network, the point is, you can actually add me if you want. You can either add me on your security network. If you know my contact info, you can just send me a message or whatever and add me. My Pi name, I think it's Have Some Pi. I think that's what it is. But again, you know, it's a network that I think most people will basically ignore forever. But there's still 50 or 60 million people on it at the moment, and it's growing. And I do see that it has some decent potential. And people have compared it to Toncoin, the Telegram network coin, and said, "Oh, it's just gonna, go up and down like Toncoin did." We'll see. It could very well be. It could also be that it just slowly builds over time, just like they slowly built up their main network launch over time, right? They didn't just unilaterally launch it right away without having enough users to do it. They wanted to make sure that when they launched their coin, they had a lot of users and that it would have real market value as an ad network, so that the people that they sell ads to could actually generate a decent amount of revenues from the ads they run there. And so the Pi network could continually sell ad inventory to keep their business afloat. We'll see how that plays out. But for now, I personally think it's a very interesting model to build an ad network for cryptocurrency and to let that be the main platform revenue stream for the crypto. And to basically let people mine, quote unquote mine, but really just earn Pi by doing something as very simple as clicking a button and watching an ad or two once a day. And to have that value build up over time. And we've seen plenty of ad networks where you get paid to watch ads over time, and they're garbage, most of them. I get it. The reason they're garbage is the way they're set up, the way they're incentivizing certain people, the kind of ads they tend to run. There's a lot of reasons they're garbage. With Pi, you don't get to just watch 1,000 ads in a day in order to earn $20 a day or whatever. No, you click on mine one time every day. That's it. And you can only watch, they only show you like one or two, or I think maybe 3 ads at the most. I think I've only ever seen 1 or 2 ads, never more. And they're like 15 to 30 seconds. They're not long. And they're usually for things like video games or computer related technology stuff. And you can even skip the ads after watching for a few seconds. So I think it's a very valuable concept. It has a lot of potential. And at the moment, it has a market cap. What is the market cap of Pi? Let's have a quick look. What, they're not showing that here yet? That's hilarious. Go over here to the CI page. Let's go have a quick look for Pi Network. Right now, the market cap is $11.2 billion. And there's 7.19 billion Pi. And the volume is about $500 million, $450 million yet in the last 24 hours. Not bad. And it's at the moment number 11. Yeah, it's number 11 on the CoinMarketCap site, just below Tron, right above Chainlink. That is very impressive for a coin that just launched like 2 weeks ago, 20 days ago, not even 19 days ago. Anyway, I know I've been going on for a while, but there you go. There you have it. I thought I'd discuss Pi with you guys. Love to know what you think about it. Again, if you want to connect with me on Pi, you can do that. My address there is Have Some Pi. Right? I think that's my address. Let me double check that because I've said it now at least twice. And I'm pretty sure that is my address, but it's been a while. Yep, Have Some Pi. HAVESOMEPI. Have Some Pi. So you can just go to mindpi.com/havesomepie. And that's it. I'll talk with you guys if you want to. I mean, that's just if you want to increase your security network or whatever on there. You can add me because I know there's ways people can add other people. I have never successfully really added, I think, practically anyone. But if you want to add me as a real person, then you can do that. And in your security network, and then you can increase the amount of Pi that you can actually earn whenever you click it. Whenever you click the mine button once a day. That'll about do it for now. Yeah, and by the way, like no obligation to add me as a, obviously, why would you have any obligation? Yeah, so that'll do it for now. We will be back with the Alpha Trading live stream tomorrow on Monday. And of course, we're in the Discord 7 days a week, posting about charts and what's going on with assets. So if you feel like you want to come in and discuss anything to do with any assets, by all means, check out alphatradinghq.com/Discord. It's free. Come and get your free access to the Volatility Starter Pack, which is an amazing set of indicators where you can learn to trade volatility, probabilities, and statistics, and a whole lot more, all for free. All right. Take care, guys. Happy trading.